So I'm going to pull up the interview now. We're going to pull up K-Town Social Club.
Johnny Somali owes Hank $20,000. I wonder.
And we're going to pull up the things that were said on this lawsuit. Now,
legal mindset looks so good. Nice combed hair. Great. Johnny would run across the streets with nothing on and would be horrified. I have nothing against his race. I mean, Johnny himself.
Just so you guys know, this lawsuit is entitled Liberty Lawsuits and Lube, the Hank U files.
Lube. He probably wants to lube Johnny.
Liberty Lawsuits and Lube, the Hank U files. So I'm going to start at the first legally relevant part, which is really the question that I asked about money. So we're going to get into that. That starts about an hour and 7 minutes in. So if you guys can, see this is how much irrelevant information. So literally I skipped over an hour of information because I thought it wasn't legally.
Yeah, if it's not legally, legal mindset will know what's good and what's not
relevant. And I've watched all of it. I watched it, the whole thing. In fact, I watched it like 1.5 times because I watched it once through with no interruptions. And then I went back to find what I thought was special and what I thought needed to be talked about. So here we go. Here's him talking about money. This is my question. Yes, the title is Liberty Lawsuits and Lube.
Were inoculated by 30,000 Chinese.
All right. So anyway.
So yeah.
Anyway.
A joke,
all right.
man.
So this Johnny Somali thing, we did that interview with you in December.
Yeah.
That,
to be clear, and I'm
Yipes. This is gonna be so funny.
For the record, for those who don't know, these guys interviewed him in December, except for it wasn't just this one guy. There were like 2 or 3 other guys in the panel, and the other guys were like laughing. They had their mouths open. They were just like, they couldn't handle it. It was too much. And that interview was way more tame than this one. This one is way more wild.
whole incident where getting jumped and all that, that was what, like September or October of last year? It's been almost a year, right?
Right.
So in the past, in all this period of time, you're basically Johnny's savior. You're like his, people say you're like his sugar.
Yeah, he was basically like Johnny's savior the whole entire time. I mean, literally, he's bankrolled him.
Sugar daddy, you know? So it's kind of like,
it was, yeah.
You know, how much
he even said, do you guys catch that? He said, you're kind of like his sugar daddy. And Hank says, I was, yeah. 2 important things there.
Who was his sugar daddy now? Johnny sure found someone new who's willing to pay the bills.
He admits that he was, that's a fair description of him. And second, he uses past tense. So I am actually, based on the tone, I actually am led to believe that he is not financially supporting Johnny that much, or it's a different scale, or something's going on. You don't say was the way he said it. I think there's something going on right there. I think there's something going on. I'm picking up on something here.
Have you personally spent thus far helping and supporting your friend? I mean, it must be a lot of money. Food, alcohol, I mean, the rent, the increased utility costs, the inconvenience of, I mean, there's all these costs that are going to, plus legal.
Yeah, like there's so many costs from food, water, everything just to support someone so bad.
Legal fees, I'm sure. Like, how much have you spent so far?
I'm not sure, but I don't buy him alcohol. I mean, I've never bought him alcohol.
I see.
Yeah.
But would you say you've spent...
I'm not so out of his safety. I'm not going to mention where Johnny is right now.
Doesn't everyone already assume he's living with
you? Yeah, he's not buying Johnny alcohol. Where is he getting the money? Where is Johnny getting the money?
That's what
everyone already knows he's there.
That's what they assume, and then let them keep assuming a bunch of things.
Okay, so let's talk about this statement. So there's a couple things here. First of all, he hasn't even spoke about the money in the total there. He says he didn't buy him alcohol. Okay, I believe it, because the alcohol's cheap in Korea. Johnny was probably getting some pennies from his supporters that could buy a like $1. Like you can get soju for like $1, under $1 in Korea. So like, okay, maybe Johnny bought his own soju. Okay, here's the big.
Remember, don't drink alcohol if you don't want to get cancer, because it is one of the causes of cancer. Only if you have no choice, or if it's required to save your life, but not all the time.
Thing. He says that he moved out of his place. This is actually legally relevant. This is massively legally relevant. You guys know why? Yes. Who said it there? Courts. Yes. He has to inform the court. Yes. Luna Eclipse. Yeah. Got that. M Bond got it right there. You guys got it entirely. The court has to know where he lives. The court
needs to know where he lives, or else how they're supposed to send the paperwork to him. Man, without that, he can't send the paperwork. They need to know where Johnny is.
Has to know where he lives. Every single trial, he gets up and he has to say his address, whatever else. And if he doesn't update it, he's in contempt of court. And you need to legally inform the court anytime you move. That's your address of record. So if he's changed his address of record, that's a problem. And he hasn't reported that because we haven't seen that, guys, because we know what happens in the court records, right? I know. He hasn't updated that. As of today, it can change.
Reality, I know what being in front of a judge feels like, but not for crimes. It's just my young life was dealing with it a lot. Nowadays, I haven't seen him for quite a while. Only one time it was because of an accident I was in. But everything was basically, he just gave me a slap on the wrist. It wasn't really major. No one was hurt.
Change. Maybe next week he does it. Maybe after they live that they do it, but he has to notify the court. Now, that isn't necessarily automatically public when it's filed, but he's going to have to say it in the courtroom, and that's going to come out. So if he's moved, he needs to say that. Otherwise, it's contempt of court, right?
That means jail time. If you're in contempt of court, it means he'll probably get thrown into jail. Which I would love Johnny to go to prison, but I want him to suffer more because of what he has done. I respect the Korean people. I know how to speak 1 to 10 on a dual set net talsiosis ilgu pop dual. I think I said 1 to 10 pretty easy. I had to learn it for martial arts, literally. And I'm not even bothered reading that paper for like months.
That's a very big issue legally in Korea. You do need that. Now, he might, just say the building or might be able to get away with the street address and not the unit, but he'd have to say something in court. He can't say nothing.
You know what? Yeah, I think I thought, because you got a nice place from what I've seen from videos, but I'm like, I don't know if that's good for two guys living together.
It's not.
And I figure like eventually you got to kick him out, put him in like a Koshiwon or something. Those tiny little.
Yeah.
He might be in a Koshiwon then.
Might be
nearby.
Yes.
So let me show you guys what a Goshiwon is, just so you know, because you guys might not know Korean terminology. A Goshiwon is like a very, very small room. It's like very, very tiny. Now, many rooms in Korea are tiny, but this is a Goshiwon, right? So you see the bed is here, the desk is here, fridge there, you got the shower there. Like, this is it, guys. This is it.
That room is basically what we would say. We have some of them around where I live. Basically, I forget what they're called, but they're just a room with a bed, essentially. That's all they are. My place isn't like that. If you ever checked the one video, I actually show you around. But yeah, I have a decent amount of stuff.
It's sort of like a dorm room, and you can get these for like pretty cheap, but this is probably, that would be appropriate for Ramsey. A lot of the Airbnbs are like the Goshiwon. It's not horrible. Like, once again, it's clean, like whatever, right? Yeah, people say bigger than their old dorm room. Yeah, it's enough for one person, and frankly, that's plenty, So, and there are ones that are smaller than that. There are rooms that are smaller than this, for sure.
If you wonder, even in my area or in this apartment complex, we have room bigger than that, and people drive themselves crazy because how little space it is. They like the object to be in my apartment size, at least, because you actually get better space. Even my mom was driving nuts.
But this is not that bad, right? But this is called a Goshiwon. That's typically what a Goshiwon is. So just so you guys know, Korean terminology, I know they're, kind of kyopos, so they're throwing out like Korean terminology like it's very comfortable, but I want you guys to be educated here. Okay, let's continue.
Might be, yes.
Isn't that kind of where he was? Well, that time he got punched by that special forces. What's his name? Dalgun or something like that.
Okay, so he talks about Dalgun for a second, but what I want to jump ahead to here is I want to jump ahead to prison. So he talks about what happens if Johnny Somali goes to prison. This is my second question. Okay.
This is part of your legacy as, you're like a free speech hero, right?
Yes.
This is about liberty.
This is about liberty.
Okay. So if Johnny Somali goes to prison, what are you going to do with your life?
Freedom of speech is not as much around in South Korea, but there is a point. But you have to respect the local laws. You can't take United States law and say the whole world has United States law. You have to obey the law. Let's say you go to China. You have to obey their laws. It doesn't mean you could say anything you want against the leader. Just say it least. You have to respect local and local laws and that. Or else you might, I can't say it, as much as I do know, you don't want the consequences. Like if Johnny went to China, we won't be hearing from him anymore. He would disappear, unfortunately. Because I would love to see torturing of him a little bit. No, at least don't be too as bad as he is.
Your life? Are you going to then spend the rest of your life trying to get him out, because it's liberty, it's free speech, or are you going to focus on something else?
Well, if Johnny Somali goes to prison, right, it's not going to be like years and years upon years. It's going to be like a few months. I'll be like,
okay, so this is a big one. This is a huge one. So essentially, you see him conceding. He would have never 1 month ago, 2 months ago, 3 months ago. By the way, this is my question. That was my question that I gave to him, which he asked perfectly, and he got him to answer it beautifully. And what I was looking for was this. He's already coping that it's going to be a couple months, but he's admitting this.
It won't be just a couple months. More likely, they're going to throw the book at Johnny. He'll get at least a few years or more. But his chances to ever live stream ever again is zero. Johnny's career is over with. And also, if he managed to make it back to America, it won't last very long because his dad's already disowned him. Because his dad does not want him to have kids ever again. I mean, he doesn't even want Johnny to even have a kid because he wishes he probably did not have him. That's how bad his father probably hates him. Because I would disown Johnny myself for how bad he has been.
A couple months ago, he said there's no way, there's no chance, whatever. Now he's changed his mind. Now he's like, oh, it's going to be a couple months. Well, I mean, now you're saying it's a thing now. Remember, these guys were all saying that I was just making stuff up, whatever. But even the top ally of Johnny Somali is saying it is very likely it's going to at least be for a couple months. Okay, well, then you're admitting it's a possibility. So you're no longer saying that's off the table.
Also, go to the first comment in the description to click on his video to watch it without me talking.
Okay, let's continue with this question. So he's admitted to a couple months.
all right, that part of that
Also like the video of his too, and also like mine and comment.
my part is done. I'm moving to China.
So let's rewind that. Let's rewind that. Okay, watch this.
To prison, right? It's not going to be like years and years upon years. It's going to be like a few months. I'll be like, all right, that part of my part is done. I'm moving to China.
There you go. So he's already planning. You can see this right now, guys. He's already planning his exit to China. You see it in the way he says it. He's like, he wants to get this side behind him, right? This is why I'm saying it's goodbye to Hank. You can see in this voice, he's like ready to go to China. He's ready to get out. And we're going to talk about the timeline. He may not, he's planning to move to China so quickly, the case might not even be over. Especially if Johnny appeals it, especially if he fights it, whatever else, especially if new case comes in and he has to fight a separate trial.
Basically, he's done with Johnny. Really wants nothing to do with him. He's probably getting paid to be there just to keep an eye on Johnny. That's all. And he wants to leave. He's going to grab his bag and run. That's basically all. Unfortunately, Hank is also not liked in China either for stuff that he's been with Johnny too much. So his name will probably be everywhere in China for the people who have access to the internet. So I would not know how long we would hear from him actually in China. Only if he magically gets on the good graces of the CCP.
Like Johnny may be like still like fighting his court case at that point. We don't know right now, or it might be serving a sentence. But the point is, he's not going to be sitting there waiting for Johnny, right? He's not going to be sitting there waiting for Johnny. We're going to talk about him going to China and all this other stuff. I mean, one thing I'll say is this: if he's accurately reporting his felony, going to China may be pretty hard. So I don't know whether he pulled strings or he greased the wheel or if he hasn't applied yet, but it might be kind of difficult to get into a program he wants to study in China. It might be very difficult to do that with a felony. China tends not to like felonies.
Right. Now, that's what you said in December of last year, that you want to move to China.
I do.
So how's it going now? It's been 8 months. When are you planning on actually going there? By what month, what year? And what kind of visa would you be going on?
I am expecting to go there around June 2026.
June 2026 with
Yes.
with a new degree or with what?
With I mean I'm going for a master's course there. So
Oh, so you'll be going there as a student
yes,
in
first.
2026. So you will be basically 33 years old when you
Yes.
go to China. Okay. So at the age of 33, you will move to China, and
So basically, in a nutshell, he's getting rid of Johnny, essentially. And no one's going to be watching after Johnny. Hopefully this is all over with before then. Or else Johnny will be having the Fed on his own. And the next person who wants to try to deal with him is not going to be friendly.
and
to
To
study.
be clear, he still has not done his mandatory service for the South Korean military.
That's bad. Being a South Korean, you have to do your mandatory service of being in the military because South Korea is at war with North Korea. And if you don't do that, he's probably still stuck in South Korea over that, more likely. I don't know all the laws.
Masters of mechanical engineering.
Weren't you studying aerospace engineering, or are you
Yes.
still doing that?
I'm done.
You're done with aerospace engineering,
Yes.
and now you want to study. What was the other engineering
Mechanical.
in 2026?
Yes.
So what are you studying now then? Since you already
Well-
finished aerospace,
Well, nothing.
nothing.
Working.
What are you doing now?
Working.
What do you like? Where do you work in an office or do
Tutoring.
Tutoring.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you do OnlyFans or?
No.
That was a good follow-up. The OnlyFans was a very good follow-up question. I like that one. Okay. I think that's about the relevance of this one. Okay. So that really was like the core legally relevant stuff. I mean, obviously, if he's going to China, right, he's gonna have some problems with a student visa, particularly for a master's program, if he has a felony showing up. That being said, could he grease the wheels? Maybe he has connections there. If you have connections, like once again in the world, even in America, by the way, guys, we saw this with admission scandals in a lot of Ivy League schools. If you have connections, if you're on the elite of the elite, exceptions are made, right? Big donations are made, and things happen, right? So is it possible there'd be some greasing the wheels or whatever else there to get him into China again, the program? Sure. But I think that may end up.
He's going to have to grease the palms of a lot of people in China just to get in. But being the fact that he's going to college for stuff, it's going to make it easier to get in.
Being more costly now, especially since his reputation is out there. So that was just really a horrible part of getting involved in the Somali saga, is it damaged his own future, right? It damaged his own future. If he just had his problems in America and he'd said, hey, I haven't been doing anything bad for the last while, that's fine. But then all this stuff shows up, and universities care about their reputation, right? They do care about their reputation. So I'm very concerned for Hank that he's may not get in or may have problems. Who knows?
They might not accept him.
What I do know is Hank brought me up in this interview. And I was like, wait, what the hell? What the hell, folks? What's going on here? Why are you bringing me up, Hanky Poo? I didn't want to come in this. I don't want to do this with you, Hank. So let's see how Hank brought me up in this interview here. We're going to have to scroll forward to about an hour and 38 minutes. So we're almost at the end. Now, he does mention me by name, right? but I'm very aware there are other people that were kind of involved and like he's threatened, and we'll talk about that. It's not just me, but he specifically brings up me several times. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Yes, and this is vital here.
Important than my rights.
Right. Okay. So, you're really big on free speech, right?
I'm really, really big on free speech.
Is it true that you were trying to sue others for their free speech? Like, were you trying to sue Legal Mindset? Somebody told me you were trying to sue him
For defamation, yeah.
That's not.
That's freedom of speech. You're suing for freedom of speech. Means it doesn't matter what Legal Mindset said. If you're caring about freedom of speech, that means you're against it. And freedom of speech only works against Congress by definition. So you cannot use it against others. You cannot. Basically, Congress is the only one you can say against freedom of speech. If you go to a cop, anything you say will be held liable against you in the court of law.
It's not free speech.
Well, I'm not criminally charging him.
It doesn't matter though, because defamation in Korea is both civil and criminal, right? And whether or not it's civil or criminal, in order to sue for it, you have to say that you don't believe that's free speech. If you're suing somebody for something, you're saying that's not free speech, right? Because free speech.
Also, it has to be totally against. Like, say if I say something really bad and it's not true, defamation could be one against that. But if it's not true, that means it won't work. And basically, you just wasted a whole bunch of money on lawyers and that. And to sue for defamation, you have to spend money on a lawyer too, unfortunately, to sue that way. So like say me, I can't sue anyone because I don't have any money for a lawyer, and why would I waste my money on it? If it's something really massive, I could probably get something to get someone. But it would have to be very horrible enough where it's destroying any reputation I have left, and I could get money back from said person who said allegations which are not true, because then I would have a case.
Speech is protected, including from civil lawsuits. This is why I think Hank has an incomplete understanding of what free speech is. And he doesn't understand the free speech process. He doesn't understand civil lawsuits, whether that's in Korea, America, anywhere else. If you're saying something that is protected speech, that's free speech. You can't sue for defamation in any country if it's free speech. Now, different countries define free speech differently. We've talked about this. There's a different standard for defamation in Korea than there is in the United States, or in other countries like Thailand, where I live, or Philippines, or somewhere else. There's different standards, right? But that is a huge contradiction there, buddy. It's a massive contradiction. But he doesn't stop there. This is great. This is perfect. Watch this.
Doing him money.
Wait, so you're free speech?
But if I can extract money out of him, yeah, hell yeah. But.
So you admit that Legal Mindset, that guy has the right to say everything he says, but you see an opportunity to try and get some money, so you're like, fuck it,
That's the problem. It doesn't work that way. Legal Mindset would have to say horrible things for it to work. And then the court has to decide how much is it worth? And if it would even work. And you can't get money back more likely from the lawyer. So you're going to be lucky if you make anything, if it even works, if you don't already lose a ton of money in the process.
I need money or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, like I'm like, whatever. That guy's not pro free speech. So
that guy's not pro free speech. That guy's not pro free speech. By the way, he dropped an N-bomb on live. Sorry about that, guys. That's his N-bomb. I am extremely pro free speech. Anybody who knows me or watched my channel for 2 seconds knows I'm pro free speech. That is insane. What I am not is pro-criminality. And me covering criminality. And
Legal Mindset is a lawyer from Florida. And yes, he is total free speech, but not against criminals. Basically, if you're lying pile of trash who's committing crimes, he's not with that. Exact same with anyone else.
And legal issues on the internet is 100% free speech. Anybody has a problem with that is anti-free speech. That's literally silencing of free speech.
And the person who I would say is the definition of not free speech is Hassan Piker. That guy doesn't even spend 2 seconds on the internet to research anything, like on legal mindset, saying, "Oh, Hassan lied to the team." He didn't even spend 2 seconds to find anything out. I would have spent time. Legal mindset could technically sue Hassan Piker and win. Unfortunately, there was enough probably to barely make any money.
Right. So his failure to understand the core definition of what free speech is crazy. And I say all the time, people can say what they want to say on the internet. They can say they want to say control people, Hank control people. Unless he crosses a criminal line, it's fine. But why can't people say things back? Because money?